Welcome back. Managing Director of the Public Hospitals Authority, Dr. Arbonette Rolle, spoke to the impact of the ongoing industrial action by the Trade Union Congress, particularly in the healthcare sector. She says although the strike has caused an inconvenience, they are strategizing to ensure that no one in urgent need of care is turned away.
Based on the Bahamas' Doctors Union, which is the junior union, we've had 90% call-in of those physicians this morning. As it relates to the senior physicians, the CPSA, we've had 60% call-in this morning. As it relates to the nursing staff, we've only had about 10%. In Grand Bahama, the total population there, 25% of them have called in. At Sandilands, 15% of them have called in.
Additionally, Dr. Rolle also noted that the absence of so many staff members, particularly physicians, has indeed presented a challenge today. However, she reassured the public that all patients will receive proper care.
I can say that we started our contingencies to ensure that there is nobody who will suffer from not having direct patient care. We're also in those areas where we have specialized nurses and persons trained. We have pulled them from the other areas to be able to support the nurses. We're also grateful to retired nurses, retired TCNs and RNs who have come together to help us, and we have a pool formed to be able to facilitate for the next 48 hours.
Meanwhile, police are investigating the circumstances surrounding an alleged suicide attempt that occurred at a residence on Saturday around 9 p.m. Police say a 31-year-old male was found semi-conscious at a residence on Sandilands Village Road, that's off Fox Hill Road, after allegedly ingesting an unknown quantity of over-the-counter medication. The victim was transported to the hospital by an ambulance for further medical treatment and evaluation. Investigations continues. Again, health officials are concerned with the high levels of mental health issues in the country. Police are investigating a sexual assault incident that occurred at a home on Honeydew Street off Bacardi Road. Preliminary reports indicate that sometime around 2 a.m. on Saturday, this is when the incident occurred. The victim, an adult female, was returning to her residence when a male known to her, armed with a knife, confronted her. The suspect allegedly sexually assaulted her while outside the home before fleeing the scene. Police were said to be following significant leads into this matter. While it is unclear how many rapes there were reported in 2024, we do know that 61 cases were reported in 2023. That was up from 55 cases in 2022. And police confiscating firearms in 3 separate incidents over the weekend, 2 of which resulted in arrests. When it comes to importing food items, cutting out the middleman to help the smaller man with lower prices is the government's plans for 2025. During his comments at the Office of the Prime Minister, Senator Barry Griffin explained the basis behind Prime Minister Philip Davis's announcement of a new trade diversification policy to help with food security. Going a bit deeper into what the Prime Minister had to say, Senator Griffin says removing the third parties like companies in the United States from the equation when it comes to importing food into the country will help consumers save money.
And we automatically assume that a lot of these things are produced in the United States of America. But the reality is that even the United States imports a lot of the things that they consume, and they then sell that on to us. So the idea, as the Prime Minister said, is to try to cut out the middleman. So for example, most of the meat that we consume in this country actually comes from Brazil. But we buy it through American third-party intermediaries, which means that the meat that we purchase in this country is about 20% more expensive. So by cutting out the U.S. middleman and going directly to Brazil for meat, for example, we hope that that 20% cost savings would then go on to the Bahamian consumer. And so the idea behind the Prime Minister's economic agenda is that we will replicate this firstly throughout the food industry and then throughout other industries in the country, such as the construction sector, where the Bahamian consumer will be able to save more money.
Senator Griffin also said that the government will improve its ability to monitor food prices once the new policies are implemented to ensure that savings are passed on to the consumer.
We also intend to fully use the Consumer Affairs Department and their price inspectors to again begin monitoring prices in the supermarkets. The Consumer Protection Commission will also have a hand in fielding consumer complaints. So we'll be encouraging consumers to sort of notify the commission of any price gouging that they think is happening or increases in price. And also we're encouraging the public to monitor these things. Again, when the competition legislation is introduced, the Competition Authority is intended to deal with things like this. But until then, the government is just going to monitor and take note. And these are some of the issues that the competition legislation intends to address.
If you have a concern about your rights as a consumer, you can contact the Consumer Protection Commission for assistance. Last year, the CPC recorded a record number of complaints by consumers against private businesses as well as government agencies. And finally, after the Prime Minister's announcement to decrease the value-added tax on all food items by 5%, some people are insinuating that it is all just a public stunt or a publicity stunt to soothe the concerns of Bahamians as the 2026 general elections are fast approaching. Well, the Minister of Economic Affairs, Michael Halkitis, refutes such allegations.
Say it's simply political, as if a political ploy. I'll just say this. Elections are due in the Bahamas in 2026. That's over a year from now, almost 2 years from now. I'll say this. We have always, as I said in response to Ms. Boleg's question, we believe that this is the right time. Our finances are stabilized. We believe we can withstand it. Sorry, I forgot your last name. Sorry. Ms. Simmons from the Tribune asked about how much it would cost, $30 million. We have been very aggressive over the last 3 years when we talk about improved revenue administration.
Minister Halkitis says reducing the percentage of value-added tax was always on the government's agenda. It's just that the government had to wait for more sustainable revenue income. And that will do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. It has been a pleasure having you join us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.